All right, I'd like to call Historic Preservation Commission meeting to order for Thursday, April 21st. We noticed attendance. We have Barbara and Annie and myself, so our three commissioners are all accounted for. And if you'd have a chance to look over the agenda, and if there are any items or changes to the agenda, let's talk about those now, or if not, I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I move that we accept it as written. I move we accept it as written.
I do have one addition, though. We need to approve the minutes of our last month's meeting.
Oh, okay.
So we can,
So they are where?
they would be on the next page
Okay.
of the packet.
Oh, I see.
Just as a little explanation about those, because they do look a little
They look
different
different,
than
right.
what you're used to. We have been in the process of transferring over to a new agenda minutes software program. And so going forward, this is what you can expect to see as far as minutes. And probably with your next meeting, you'll notice some subtle differences to the agenda as well. It's just a different format, so.
All right, so we can amend the motion to include the approval of the minutes?
Yes, I amend the motion.
All right, so there's a motion to approve the agenda with the addition of approval of last month's meeting, minutes of the meeting. So, all in favor? Or do we have a second, Barbara?
Oh, second.
Okay. All right, moved in second, all in favor, signify by raising your hands.
Aye.
Aye,
Well.
or you can
Now
say
we're
aye
here,
now that
so
we have
we-
microphones. All right, it's unanimous, approved. So, yes, it is. All right, so next item of business would be the approval of last month's minutes. So if everyone would like to take a minute and review those.
So on page 2, the minutes for last time are like item 4 on down? Or this is, the whole thing is, okay. I move that we approve the minutes as written.
I second.
All right, we have a motion and second to approve last month's minutes. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Minutes are approved. Thank you. Next on the agenda, we're going to be moving into action items. And the first action item is to recognize Tribe Media is here to give us an update on our video projects. So turn that over to you guys.
You want me to jump up there or click this on?
You can click that one if you'd rather.
Perfect. So official. Okay, so based on our last conversations you guys had with James and Luke, so this is our document. So this will highlight all 3 videos, each one being 3 minutes long, estimated in time. And I know we've kind of gone back and forth between what these types of videos should be or the overall theme. So me and James sat down, crunched our heads together based on all of our meetings and feedback, and came up with these examples. So let's dive into the first one. So video number one. So in video production, you want to give each one a theme, right? So the easiest thing to do is in each video answer what, why, and how. And so that's kind of what we broke each video down. So video one will answer your what, meaning what is the Millwood Historic Register? And the point of this video would be awareness about Millwood Historic Register with focus on homes. And I know that's kind of the backbone of this project, so we want to do that one first. And below you'll see the details. We'll have every century of homes kind of broken down. So you guys can kind of pick which ones you'd want us to highlight. And the idea would be to have, I don't know if it was homeowners or maybe board members, but people explain kind of what the Millwood Historic Register is. And then in the next video, we'd explain why that's really important. So your first one would be kind of your top funnel, start the story, what we do, right? And you would highlight and lace through, we call it B-roll, so think of it as a way you see video with no one explaining it, and you guys would have your interview, so your voice would be playing over the video as we're showing these homes and, you know, what the Millwood Historic Register is, right? So bringing that awareness. And then if you scroll down a little bit, go to video 2, perfect. And so here's where we would answer why. So why Millwood Historic even exists, why it's important, the history, community focused. And so we would call it a lot of landmarks here. And we've been documenting with drone footage a lot of these landmarks already through the seasons. But here's where you guys would really dive into a really cool storytelling process. So this would be something that you guys explain why it's so important to have something like your guys' organization exists and what's important and community focused. So this one would be focused on Millwood as a community and, like I said, calling out those landmarks. And then the third one would be how. So now that we've answered the what and the why, you know, hopefully your viewers and your people searching your websites or listening to you on social media or whatever it is, they would then be like, okay, how do I, you know, I have a cool old home, I didn't know this existed, how do I get involved in this? And so the third video would then answer what we call call to actions. So it would basically run them through if they're gonna do a remodel, right, what things to be conscious about if they're gonna research for homes, how to research your guys' register and stuff like that. So that's kind of your call to action. So that's what we were thinking. I just talked to James today, and he said that what we can do maybe on your guys' favorite home, we could give you, because you guys wanted a template to be able to duplicate this stuff over and over. So one of your guys' favorite homes, we can go through and give the full tour and we'll just walk through, and maybe it's a homeowner, maybe it's one of you guys, whoever it is, to just go through and kind of give the tour of the home. And then we would give that to you complimentary. We're not going to charge you. And that can be something you could replicate over and over and over and over and over. So I think between those 3 videos, you'd have a really good foundational pillar of educating the community and why you guys exist and what you do and how to join the efforts. And then with the complimentary little short 20-second, 30-second video, it'd be a tour. And that would be the ones you guys could replicate over and over. So I guess what we need next would be who's speaking, what are we speaking about, and then maybe some of those dates and locations and stuff as far as when if it's a homeowner, you know, people, and just so everybody knows, generally when you bust out a camera, people get really nervous. So we might have to choose those interviews wisely. And because in our experience, if people aren't used to being on camera, some people can do it, but a lot of people get really, really nervous. And so when we're picking these candidates, I'd pick either people who have done it before or seem to really want to do it, because it's hard to kind of coax people into it. So food for thought. So I'll give you well, you have it now. So I guess the next steps would just be location, timeframes, maybe the houses. I have the houses, but maybe if we have to give them heads up, I'm sure a lot of people don't want their addresses, right, or something like that, or we probably need permission. So we can start taking care of the little details as far as times and coordination, but I think the bulk of the project is ready. Any questions?
I like the organization. It's very similar to what we had in the grant. It's a little bit different, but I like the direction that it's gone in, even though it's a little bit different. I'm not sure how do we poll people? I mean, who don't. Barbara, do you want to do it? Do you want to be interviewed? I mean, how do we How do we find people?
Yeah, good question. People who are passionate. So I would start with board members or the committee members. You guys can each have things that you're really passionate about. And so, for example, if it's video 2, which is why it's so important, I would pick some members that can explain the heritage and, you know, the community. Because we're gonna want photos of, you know, old historic photos and stuff. And like James pointed out, the mayors and stuff. We want to pull that in and show that, you know, because I've lived in Millwood and I didn't know this existed. So I would love to get that information out and just pick the ones who are passionate about speaking. And remember, video is highly edited. So we do a lot of interviews, so we're really good at coaching people into getting we call them snackable contents, or the little speaking pieces that we want. So basically whoever's willing and knowledgeable, I guess.
I think the owners of the Rosebush House are very passionate.
Okay,
I'm sure
perfect.
They would be great on camera.
Yeah.
Bobby's sitting right there smiling. I think she's a wonderful storyteller. And Barbara's house also. I'm a new kid, because I've only been here 35 years, so I don't really have any depth. But Chris, you had photos, someone sent you photos of your house?
Yeah, a previous owner that just stopped by and
Cool.
Take a 5-minute while YouTube comes back to life.
Oh, yeah, sure.
oh, YouTube is buffering.
Oh, 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 is that the camera there?
Oh, that probably is the camera right there.
Okay,
We're back.
we're ready. Go ahead.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, you're off camera.
So I think if we have identified maybe those voices, those
Okay.
interviews, if we could reach out to Vicky in the Rosebush House and, you know, if Bobby would be willing, then I think we would just need a time frame.
Perfect.
You know, we can set and schedule things.
Yeah, I think, yeah, whatever works best for you guys. I mean, May's starting to get a little busy for us, but we're not slammed, so we can start doing them in May, if you guys want to start doing the interviews in May.
And are those done like, obviously I know that like the tour, but are they done on site? Like
Yeah.
out?
Yep,
Okay.
yep. I mean, and on-site can be anywhere we choose to be on-site, so. They generally could be done here, anywhere with background, yeah, in the park, wherever. Unless is there some iconic spots? Because that would be wise to pick.
I guess what my question was, for instance, if you are talking to the Nakaratos, do you want to be filming them in front of their historic house?
Yeah.
I'm thinking about just the logistics of trying to get people scheduled.
Yeah.
So do you guys have any ideas on that, or?
I think if we just talk to them, I think they'll, just be very flexible and setting up. They've always been very flexible with me, so I kind of think they'd be very excited to do it.
I'm more thinking like from like, are you going to talk to them and then tell me, are you going to contact Andrew directly? That's sort of what I'm,
I could talk to you directly or to Chris, and then Chris can tell you. You want to, would you be the center point for?
Chris can't be the center point.
She can't be. So it's you then. Okay. So.
She's like,
okay.
yes.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
let's do that.
If so you want to reach out to them, let me know when they'd be available, and then I can reach
Yep.
out to you and see
Sounds
what
good.
we can
Yep.
work out. Okay, great, thank you.
So you said the Nakaratas would be another family?
Yeah, the house across the street, the Salmon House, where the Youngs live. How am I supposed to do that?
Yes.
Wow.
The house across the street where the Salmon House is, where the Shireen Young lives now, is one of it's the oldest, isn't it? House. And he was one of the pioneers of the area. And they did some remodeling and found some interesting things. So that'd be another good interview.
Perfect. I'm gonna put
It's the Salmon House.
Salmon House.
Young, yes.
So same thing, Barbara, maybe you could reach out to Shireen and just ask if she would be amenable to that. And
Yes.
then if so, let Christina know, and maybe she could be that person coordinating
Mhm.
with
Yeah.
you guys.
Yeah,
Okay.
perfect.
And then are there some key historic monuments in Millwood that we could get extra footage of? Just to like show,
I think we have.
because I saw the World War I memorial as we drove in.
Yes.
I was wondering if there's like other, like monuments like that that we could kind of add in there to show this overall historic history.
How quirky you want to be, there's some leftovers of the irrigation system.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like a big wheel sitting there next to
Really?
it. Where's that on?
He's a big history person, so he'll probably go after. We do have the paper mill, Main Street, what is it, Brown Building, I think's another one.
Dale, just north of the west side, it's just kind of left, at least last time I looked, there was kind of leftover things sitting there. The irrigation passed.
What about the Brown Building, Bobby? Which that's her family's stake in Millwood.
It's also where I live.
Is that
Oh, I have it
the
on the
corner
list.
store?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the corner store, yeah, that's 1920s. Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's really it, just lining up the shots and the interviews.
Well, speaking of the schedule,
We can also
oh,
do
go
the
ahead.
Harsh building with, I don't know if they got their plaque up,
Good idea.
but they're on the registers.
Yes.
Okay.
Right, so I think, yeah, focusing on the Rosebush House and the Harsh Building as being the first properties listed on our local register of historic places, which is that second,
Video.
yeah, the video.
Yep, I have the Rosebush House and Harsh Building.
All right.
Because we can get, so on that first, so video one that has is the backbone with all the houses. We can get B-roll. We don't have to get interviews, obviously. That'd be like 12 interviews. But we can get at least pictures and video of every one of these houses and then line up maybe the people who want to do it, maybe cap it off at like 3 for this
Yeah.
one.
And you're fine with doing an interview, right, Robin?
I'm still thinking. It's lots and lots of footage.
Yeah,
Edit it down.
that's what we do. That's what we do.
We just filmed a,
Yeah.
maybe 2-minute video for 45 minutes.
Yeah, for a long time. A lot of talking for 2 minutes.
Pretty much filmed for 30 minutes to an hour. and
Yeah.
we just cut up that 2 minutes. So,
Well, Bobby's
take your time.
building would emphasize early business in Millwood. And then the Salmon House, wasn't it Salmon who sold the property for the historic district?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's a major player in how Millwood got started.
So that's a cool idea to have his house, and Shireen would be very good on camera.
She will be.
That's an excellent.
Yeah.
Well, and the Harsh Building was the first doctor's office in Millwood? No, it wasn't, but that was
The Brown
Dr.
building was
Pierce.
the first doctor's
The
office.
Brown, your building was the first doctor's office. But the Harsh Building has some,
Post-World War II.
Post-World War
doctor's
II.
building,
building, okay. But what was it before the Dr. Pierce's office then? Was it a store?
yeah. It was a store and an apartment attached.
Okay.
And then as far as like extra content, what are we gonna stick in there?
That'd be great if you could, yeah.
Well, Ann Aslan could speak to the Harsh building.
And then as far as like extra content, like old photos and videos, where could we get some of the like pictures that we could scan in or take a photo of or something? That
We got everything digital. So
everything's already digital? Okay, perfect. So, yeah, that'd be perfect. Yeah.
So speaking of the schedule, I went back to the grant and just wanted to run through the dates with everybody, just so as long as you're all here. So we just had to guess what the dates would be. We just had to fill in the blank, basically. So we had work to be accomplished. Videographer shoots B-roll and drone footage and sets up interviews. That was October and November 2021. Commission provides historic photos, interviews conducted, so that was by 1st of this year. Preview of videos was scheduled for March, but we're only, it's practically March. Editing and technical
20
procedures by videographer was April 2020, so we're on track for that. Training of commission members in Canva, is that where we're gonna get the future videos? So that was April and May, so we're in there. We have a mandatory check-in next week, which is April 29th. I'm not sure what that includes, but I'll include that we've had this meeting. I guess I'm gonna write it, or I'll respond to it, or do you do that? I'll do it. Okay. The scared, deer in the headlights look, yeah. So there'll be, I'll include the content of this meeting, possibly what you've shared with us. And then additional filming and interviews go through May and June. We have another mandatory check-in July 15th. And then we scheduled presentation of videos to the public at Millwood Days, which is August.
Perfect.
So that would be, and then submission of the final report is September 2nd. So we're in there. I just wanted to make everybody aware, we do have a schedule.
Yeah, no,
we have to
that
keep.
for our end of things isn't hard to hit that. The interviews is gonna be the hardest. It's just aligning, like Christina was saying, just aligning everybody to get their calendars synced is generally the most time-consuming part. But, and I can give you, I think I sent it, but I can resend it, just some of the photos and drone footage we have, so we can at least show that, like, hey, we have been documenting. So,
Do you have that available tonight?
yeah. I think I sent it.
And then, Bobby, would you want to be the first interview? I feel like that would be the easiest route to take.
We'll see how they schedule it.
Okay, okay.
I can fit in,
Okay.
if Shireen's available
Yeah.
right away, get her while you can.
Okay.
I'm getting feedback that we're not being heard, so we need to get our microphones a little closer to us when we talk.
So Shireen would be the Salmon House, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So we could schedule that one first.
No, she could also speak to the paper mill
Okay.
a little.
I'll speak about the paper mill.
What was her title, Bobby? She was a business manager or office manager or connected with the history very
Purchasing
intensely?
agent,
Okay.
maybe, was her last one. She had a number of titles.
Okay.
And
And
she
then,
was instrumental in preparing a book that was published about on the 100th years of the paper mill. So
Wow.
she's well versed in the history.
okay. And then as far as the digital, like photos that have been digitized already, are those online or somewhere, or,
No,
okay,
I can send them to you.
okay, perfect,
If I get where to send them to.
okay. Yeah, we can just,
Which I think I figured out what's been going on. We'll talk later.
okay.
So it's 4 interviews.
So we have Rosebush House, Bobby, the Nakaratos, and Shireen. So yeah, 4.
Rosebush and Alvarado's are the same.
Okay,
Yeah, the Harsh Building.
But that's just pictures.
so Vicky,
Oh, okay. We could have Ann talk about the history.
She could. I was thinking we could have Greg also.
You need to just get it closer. It's on, I can see that it's on. You just need to get it closer.
Since Greg does the walking tours, he might be a good general overall.
Oh, he would?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. So
Greg
five-
Mott.
5 interviews?
Greg,
Yeah, you can do, I mean, ideally it'd probably be, what, 2 to maybe 3 per video, give or take, because most answers are going to be about 30 seconds long, probably most interviews, so I'd say about 3.
Okay.
More the merrier, though, because then we can always, I mean, it's hard to go back and get more, but it's
Yeah.
easier just to cut the ones that,
Yeah.
aren't working out as well.
Well, Greg Mott has done a lot of historic district tours. He really knows those houses.
Oh, yeah, that'd be
So it'd
great.
be very valuable.
Greg Mott?
Yeah, M-O-T-T.
OTT. So I guess just whoever responds first for interviewing wise, we can just go with them and then work our way down.
But again, if that could be something that we do for the month of May and make sure that we take care of all those shooting in May, if possible.
Yeah,
Okay.
and May is a pretty good month too for weather-wise.
So we'll talk to the people that you want to interview.
Okay.
And then would you connect with them about the interview date?
Yep,
Okay, so I talk to Shireen and see if she's willing, then I tell Christina, and then Christina, you tell them, and then they set it up, okay?
okay. Yeah, and then you just CC us on an email or something, and then we can coordinate with them.
Yeah.
I think they've seen most of that.
I was just going to send it.
Okay.
Okay, Christina, you should have got a link, I think. So this one's the fall one, and then we have winter ones as well. But again, in the video, this is all gonna be like super quick because we're trying to cover a lot of ground, so we don't have a lot of time to spend on each season. But it'll show the complexity of the video well, having different seasons in there. And this is the one. Let's see. Does it let it slide? Yeah, so we have a lot of this is B-roll from drone footage. We have ones of the winter, fall, and then we'll get ones of the summer, even though we'll be editing. But if there's a really beautiful day in June or end of May, we'll grab some of those too. So this is the stuff. So if you can imagine this with someone's voiceover going over explaining what's going on in Millwood Historic. So it'll be pretty cool. This mixed in with the old footage, like the older photos. And then people interviewing's faces will appear on screen. People's houses will appear. So we have some pretty good footage that we've had.
This one as well?
Yep, you can do that. That's the vertical version. That one's sunrise. So we have sunrise, sunsets.
Is there a way to make it bigger?
I don't know. That's what I've never seen it appear like that on there. That's I was like, huh. What happens if you hit the little arrow that appears?
Here?
Yeah. Oh, it just slides over the photos. Okay, well.
You just like zoom in on the screen in general.
Where is that?
There's 2 dots right there, yeah.
Look at James. Look at James go.
Oh, look at
There you go,
that.
James. There you go, James.
Oh,
Yeah, but I can include this. I'll put this in there so you guys include this as your documentation too.
and
to-
I
to
can,
submit.
I'll just forward this email
Yeah.
to you all tonight so you can look at it closer at home.
Yeah.
Great, thanks.
So
Yeah.
that's the Argonne Bridge.
Yep. Yep.
This is just like, you know how you get a vision of something, and a picture in your mind of how you want something to turn out, and this is just so great to see it.
Oh, we're glad. We're glad. Yeah. Yep. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. Now the interview time. That's all the easy stuff there because we're just flying a drone. The hard now the real work begins. That's all I really have. Anything else?
I think
You have a good plan.
Okay.
Good plan, I
Yeah.
think we're on schedule and
Perfect.
got some people to contact.
Cool.
Yeah, so thank you very much for
Oh,
being
it's our
here,
pleasure.
and
Yeah.
showing this to us. and-
See you in person finally.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, that's nice.
right. And we definitely won't keep you any longer, but
We'll let
thank you so
everyone get
much.
to official business.
All right. This is just a brochure with
Oh,
some
perfect.
history relevant stuff in it, so
Oh.
that's a draft, so
Perfect.
there's gonna be a different one.
I'll give that to
share
you
with them
next.
later. But it'll give you some contacts.
Thank you.
All right, and our next item on the agenda is just an update on our Millwood Trail signage. And so at this time, I'd like to recognize citizen Bobby Beasy to come up and give us just an overview of the project and maybe share the samples of the completed work. And I'd also like to take this time while you're at the podium to, on behalf of the Historic Preservation Commission, to thank you for your service on this commission and everything that you've contributed to us. It's very much appreciated.
Thank you.
I appreciate that, because I need to start this out with a sincere apology that it has taken a ridiculous amount of time to get these signs to the completion phase. The history enthusiasts as a whole did the designs on these. And once that was pretty well complete, it kind of came down to working out for one person who had the technology to get all of the details in. And the details turned out to be high-resolution photos that turned out to be very elusive, in addition to a lot of editing and Photoshop editing, which meant I had to relearn the program. I knew it years ago, but learned some new techniques. And it just, with the pandemic and the schools being closed, and there's just so much, and my not being as capable as I used to be, that it ended up just taking a ridiculous amount of time. So we just marched on till it was done, and now it's done. So there you are. The samples I gave you are 44% of actual size. The photos are in there are all the specified resolution. There'll be at least 300 DPI at full size on the signs, which means that if they're used that way, there will be a lot of nice little details that show up in many of the pictures. The Winter Village of the Spokane sign was fairly enthusiastically approved by the tribe. I got something like, "Love the sign, you have my blessing," from the tribal historian.
That is awesome. That was probably the biggest challenge, I think, connecting with anybody would have.
Finding someone.
Getting that, yeah.
I came to believe, I think it's, whether it's the organization or whether it's cultural, nobody wants to tell you no, even if it's not their job. So you end up not really getting anywhere, but they're all telling you, "Oh yeah, we'll help you." So finally, when I found the right person, it was great, and they were extremely helpful. So if there's any major changes made to that sign, we'll need to go back to them again, because he was clear in a phone call to me, "Now you're going to put everything on here like you showed me," and I said, "Yes, that's the plan," and then he says, "Okay, I totally approve." So the same would be true of the West Valley High School sign. The principal approved that. And so again, if there's much in the way of changes, it would need to go back to him.
Can I ask a question, Bobby?
Sure.
The QR codes, what do those connect to?
They connect to the city website, to the pages that Christina made, which right now has nothing on them, but they do go to a page. I tested them. All the photo rights have been evaluated. Christina has details for the few that we still need to get purchased. they have been evaluated for the signs only, so while the city has all the digital files, they can't just put them on the website or anything without looking at the individual photo to see if it's free to put on the website or not. Because some of them were specified for this purpose only. So that's the basics on the sign. As a personal note, since the mayor's new appointees do not have a very in-depth knowledge of Millwood history, I would like to volunteer my services as a for free volunteer consultant historian. Anything you need, I will either tell you or most likely look it up and get back to you, whether it's how many houses are 100 years old or photos for this project, anything you need. That's the stuff I love to do, is the research and that kind of stuff. So,
That would be invaluable.
so just let me know now that I'm no longer a member. Any of you can freely talk to me now.
That's right.
So just let me know.
Thank you, that's a very generous offer, and I'm sure we'll be taking you up on that. So again,
Thank you.
appreciate that work. And
Thank you,
so this
Bobby.
information is now with the city, Christina, and they could proceed with
Yes,
sign production.
Yes.
And installation. All right, are there any other questions or comments about the trail signage?
Well, I just wonder, this summer, will they be up, do you think?
oh, I don't think so, no. I don't know for sure, but my feeling is probably not.
All right, next item on the agenda, talking about our Centennial Homes decals. I'll turn it over to Christina.
I don't know what you want me to say. I brought them again, just in case you want to see them again. I know I showed you all last night. And I mentioned to you last night that I had one email. And so just for your information, I went and found a photo. So this is what we are, this was the home of the gentleman who reached out to me over on Euclid. So as I mentioned to some or all of you last night, I did look at the assessor's side. It does say the home was built in 1920. That is as much of a detailed research that I can do. So I know that we had talked, it had come up at our last meeting that possibly those dates aren't maybe always 100% correct. That's as much as I can do. So if that level of approval is not sufficient, then we need to maybe hit the drawing board and figure out how we want to process those. That's a conversation you all will have to have. I don't know how far off they might be. I don't know. You had mentioned that before. So in any case, his says 1920. After last night's meeting, I think chatting with Chris and Bobby, we talked about working up some sort of little certificate that we could attach with the decal. So I will reach out to this gentleman and let him know that it will be forthcoming, and then I will put it high on my list of things to do to work up a certificate draft sort of a thing and email it out to you all for comment. And once we get that approved, then I can start sending them out, or you can start sending people in if you'd like, so.
No, thank you. I think that's great. We recognize that the properties may not be in the historic district. They definitely might not be contributing to any type of local, state, national register. But if there's some documentation that they're at least 100 years old, we want to recognize them. We want the homeowners to take pride in that, to be involved in the history of Millwood. So I would think whatever you did to check on this property would probably be the extent of any research that we would do. And I think the certificate that would go along with the decal would also be a great addition and, souvenir and recognition for the owner of the building. So this has all worked out awesome, I think. We got her done before May, which is Historic Preservation Month. So this would give us the opportunity of really pushing this program in May and trying to get people aware that it's available, and if there are ways that it can be up on the website, on the reader board. It was already in the newsletter, so thank you very much for including it there.
Well, farmer's market.
If,
we can-
yeah, if there are
that'd be
events
great.
that we could also have information to help promote it, that would be great.
I do want to say too, just real quickly, not that I think that you all hang on my every approval, but this wasn't my favorite design. I liked the one that had sort of that tree looking, and I told you I thought 8 by 8 was too big. And I think this is just really sharp looking. Like I said, I know you don't need my approval, but I just did want to say, this wouldn't have been my choice, but I think this turned out just spectacular. I think it looks really good, so.
I'm wondering about, it was the assessor's website where you went to find the date that the house was built.
Yes.
Could also be included on the certificate who built the first house, who was the first owner?
That isn't available to me on the assessor site. If that is information that we have, we could look into that. And that'll probably just have to be something that's done on a case-by-case basis, so.
I think the date, since it's from an official source, we should at least start with that and say, I'm no math major, but, 1920 is clearly 100 years old in that ballpark. And if it has to be changed or adjusted, we could do that at some point, like revise the certificate or whatever. But I think we have to go with that because it's from an official source. So if there's a dispute, we'll investigate.
Another thing that we had talked about doing was creating a map on our website that if someone submits their property address, there'd be a way to pin something there. So when we get several properties, if someone wanted to go walk around and look at these, they wouldn't necessarily have to have names, but it would just show on the map everything that participating in this program. Is that something we want to try to work out with the technology of doing? Would this be an extra burden on staff to do?
Well, it's not something that I can do. We do have Daniel in our Public Works Department who does work with GIS and mapping. Unfortunately, we're heading into Daniel's most busy season. He's also responsible for the parks and open space. So I know we've talked about that in the past, and I do think it's a great idea and we should work towards it, but it wouldn't be anything that would be coming anytime really soon, because typically he gets most of his GIS work done during the late fall and winter when there's not quite so much for him to do out in the city, so.
Well, but you are tracking those people or those property owners that we give the decal and the certificate to.
I am tracking the one, yes.
The one. But as they start rolling in, then maybe we'll have 20, 30 by next fall. And
The question was asked last night too, I can't remember, maybe Annie, of how many I had ordered. And I told her I did an initial order of 50. So if we really start trucking through them and we get good feedback, then I'll just go ahead and put in another order when I see our stock start to dwindle, so.
How will they be applied? Are they going to be on the inside,
No, they're applied.
on the outside?
Sorry, they're applied on the outside, it looks like. And that wasn't an option that I was given, but I know that we had talked about, they would apply on the outside.
Okay. Are they pretty sticky on there. So like, if someone washes their windows, they're not. So we might need replacements.
They actually are not sticky at all. So I think it's something where if someone wanted to wash their windows, they could just pull it off. In fact, we could just try it.
Is this building 100 years old?
For a minute it is. So there it goes on, and it's on there. But then I think they could just. So, and it's
But it's
still
Still
Yeah.
goes right back
Oh,
on.
good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Does it work the other way? No? Yeah, let's look at that and see. You could put it on the inside to show out if it would stick.
Right, as we, oh, good. That's the way it would be. It should
Yeah.
be.
So
Yeah,
it can
that's
be
the
on
way
the
I
inside
thought it was gonna be.
or outside.
Yeah, so you
Oh, good, 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 good.
Good, so that's, yep.
And they did come as quickly as that sticker mule said they would. They were here within just a few days, so,
Wonderful.
with free gifts of hot sauce and a bunch of stickers.
All right, any other comments or questions about the decals, ideas for promotion of the program?
Just, I think it's a triumph, considering that there was a thumbs down moment in there as far as the grant, and we went ahead and did it anyway. So I think that was, it's a success, and I think people are going to recognize what it is, and it's going to be really a good thing. And it makes them aware of us, too, the commission and the history of Millwood, so. it's gonna
I
be
can
great.
put it on, I was thinking, more towards May. I can put it on the reader board outside, and then we have the monitor's not new, but the program is down in the lobby. That's just a running slideshow of photos and different information, so I can put it on there to run too from my, from what I can do to help publicize it.
All right, now I'd also like to, again, since now we're on YouTube, and officially thank Bobby for reaching out to the artist. And we did have an artist that did this design for us and turned around high-resolution copies in a very quick manner. And so officially, if you could extend that thank you to that person too.
And what is the artist's name?
Morgan Rosentrader.
Morgan Rosentrader.
Rosentrader.
Well, thank you, Morgan, also.
All right, nothing more on this topic. We'll go to the next item, and mural. And if you remember last month, it was brought up that there was interest in painting a mural in Millwood, on the possibly Masonic temple building, on brick. It did not go over well with the commission. And so just wanted to have the opportunity to talk a little bit more about that, see where that project is, and if we can find alternate locations or alternate surfaces on which to paint a mural that would not be permanent on brick in a historic district.
You're looking at me, but I don't have any more information than I had last time. There was a conversation with the mayor wherein he expressed interest in determining a different material that a mural could be painted on and then affixed to the side of the building, both to address the concerns of this commission and also because he felt like it's going to be a commissioned piece of art that we're paying for, that it technically should be city property, and that if someday the owners of that building didn't want it there anymore or something of that nature, that it could be taken down by the city as our property and repurposed or replaced elsewhere. But other than that, there hasn't been any other progress or any action taken on the project.
So I think on behalf of the commission, we do want to express concerns over, yeah, maybe the location, the design, especially if it is going on a historic building in the historic district. We also understand that we don't have any enforcement options, but just because that is something in our purview is to try to protect the historical integrity of Millwood, that if we could be included on these conversations and help find the best solution, that would be great.
I did hear there were some conversations about using the back wall, the west wall of that building. So where they've got their outdoor seating area, that wall, and there's some block area as well. There's not any brick at all.
Cinder block.
Yeah, cinder block. That would be a surface that's okay to paint on, and it would be enjoyed by the customers of bottles there too, and kind of dress up that back side of the building.
I also have heard very enthusiastic response to painting on the back side of the building. The brick is extremely fragile. I know we don't think of brick as fragile material, but it's basically like a s'more with, hard on the outside and deteriorating on the inside. Water, paint, any substance is strongly not recommended by the Secretary of the Interior, who I think would have a level of expertise and clout on this. So that was my concern, was for the painting directly on the brick. Also, putting it on another surface, it would have to be adhered to where the mortar is and not into the actual brick. And then mortar itself can be kind of very fragile. So there's a lot involved, more than maybe we thought of at the beginning. Are there any other places that have been suggested as a place to put the mural? Like a siding of a metal sided building, something that's not historic? Okay. No, you're shaking your head no, okay.
And this was something that the owners of that business wanted?
No, this was a
requested, or
city-initiated
okay.
project or idea. Those owners have given permission to have it done there.
Okay.
Oh, that's contrary to what I've heard. I heard they were very resistant to having it on the brick because of the historic nature of the building, but they were very enthusiastic about having it on the back. So I guess we should have them come in and
I don't
clarify.
think that we need to have them come in. I have emails from them about the project. The back of the building is the first, tonight's the first I've heard of that. So, yeah, as it does everywhere, when you play telephone, the story gets changed. I don't want to say that I am, on behalf of the city, unwilling to consider anything else. That's not the case. But that spot was the one that was raised, and those owners have given their permission to have it placed where we asked, and never did they express any concern to the city about paint on their brick. I also understand where this commission comes from, and if there is another way to accomplish it, then certainly we're open to that. But I had never heard anything about the back of the building until tonight. And I do have written confirmation from the owner that they are okay with it.
All right. Any other comments? No? Awesome. Well, I'm happy to work with you, the mayor, the bottle staff, again, as if this project keeps moving forward, if we can just, talk about other possibilities, happy to do that. So. All right, next on the agenda, commission vacancies. And again, we recognize that Bobby is no longer on the commission. I think the mayor did identify 2 people to serve on the commission. And Christine, if you want to kind of share their names and the timeline for when they would be joining us.
So we received 3 letters of interest for the 2 openings on the commission, which is great considering how many years we've gone with a vacancy and didn't receive any interest. So that was encouraging. You guys met last night, the 2 individuals who the mayor has selected. Their names are Colleen and Alex. They are a married couple who just closed on a house on Frederick down by the baseball fields. Alex works in stained glass and has done work and does work on historic homes and buildings. He's worked with the city of Spokane, as I understand it. And Colleen seems to have quite a varied history, I'm not sure. But she does have a background, at least partially, in graphic design and things of that nature. So in the future projects, she might be a good resource for something like that. The plan is for them to be appointed at the May 10th City Council meeting, and then they will be joining this commission at your May meeting.
Now I don't know that we've ever had new commissioners come on, but just thinking about ways to orient them to the mission and I think the history of the commission. Are there items that we can put in a packet for them to prepare them for their first meeting?
Yes, so I, in the back of my mind, have, been playing around for a couple of years now with ways to create a packet of information for all council, planning commission, historic preservation. So I was planning to put together the ordinance and probably the chapter out of the comprehensive plan, those types of things. And then I noticed tonight Annie has asked to talk to some information. I think there's probably some information that the consultant from Northwest Vernacular had given us that, yeah. So yes, I think that there's good information that I can put together for their edification before the meeting.
My concern, they're very nice people. I'm so glad we got to meet them for the first time last night. I think when you're going to be working closely with people, though, it would be nice to have some preliminary introduction to them or some knowledge of their background or their qualifications, because we do get into the woods sometimes in our different issues that we deal with. There was another applicant who has literally written the book on Millwood homes, has done walking tours, has been a key part of the community and for a long time, lifelong. So I'm wondering, why does that not qualify someone? I just wanted to say I'm all about wading into the awkwardness of of a discussion, but and I know some of it's probably private, but I'm just kind of shocked that that person wasn't considered or isn't sitting here tonight or will be here in May.
That is a question best directed towards the mayor, is all I can say for that. I don't know what his specific reasons were for the way that he went.
All right. Any other questions or comments on commission vacancies? And thank you for preparing a packet for them to bring them up to speed as best we can. I think it all took us 3 or 4 years to get up to speed. So,
Well, I've been given permission to offer a tour of the history enthusiasts, material posters and things that are now, they're stored at Nacarato's house, that she would like them to come over and see what she has, the things that we display at the library. And that will give them a kind of an immersion into Millwood history that they probably should have. So I thought that was kind of a nice gesture.
yeah, that is great. If they're going to be talking business, do we have to, after all of our open meeting training, do we have to?
Well, that's more, that's not business, that's
Oh, it's just history.
It's just
Yeah.
history, yeah.
Okay.
So it's just like talking about plants, only
Or,
history.
yeah, meeting people, looking at their buildings and things.
Right.
Okay. Awesome.
Good point, though.
No.
May I ask a question about the number of people? Because I was just counting who used to sit here. And we had Ann Aslan here. So does that mean there's still another vacancy?
Anne was never an official member.
So she was like an adjunct kind of person.
She was a visitor, a supportive visitor, yeah.
I see.
Yeah, but I echo Christina. It was the mayor's decision, and I think any rationale we'd need to ask him. All right. Last action item is maybe some background information on the Millwood Presbytery Edition. I know it was brought to my attention by Annie, who went by, that they're building an addition. This is in the historic district. Again, something that wasn't brought to our attention. I didn't know if it's what they're doing there, if it triggered any alarms when they maybe applied to put an addition.
Anytime someone contacts the city with questions about construction in the historic district, I tell them that we have a historic preservation commission and that we have a historic district. I will, talking about wading into awkward conversations, I will tell you that it's never received well, and the reactions that I get are not positive. And I don't know if I suspect that doesn't have anything to do with this commission specifically, but maybe with a larger sort of stereotypical idea that it will be a problem. That's what I would like to think that it is. But I also think that is why the education component, which we haven't hit really hard, is more important than ever. And I learned through our comprehensive plan process 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago, when we had the proposed rezone in the historic district. For as many of folks there are down there that are really understanding and interested in the historic district and historic preservation and that sort of thing, there are a number of people who live down there who have really no idea. And from the comments that I received through the comp plan amendment process, folks believing that they are protected from things that they really aren't, just because they're in that identified historic district. So I think as we start talking about things like this or initiatives going forward, that education is really key to getting this sort of, I don't know the word that I'm looking for, having people feel comfortable to come. The other thing is too, I've had a couple of phone calls over the past year maybe of folks who live down there kind of generally asking questions, nothing kind of kicking the tires, for lack of a better word. In this case, there was none of that. And I never spoke to a member of the church. It was straight from a builder with a application. So in this case, that probably maybe had factored in there as well. But anytime I receive a call or anything, I do notify them that they're in the historic district and we do have a commission, so.
Well, even beyond that, we have our resource book, or our green book that we worked on. This was actually approved by council in early 2018. And just the opening sentence, opening paragraph is, because of Millwood's rich history, the city of Millwood desires that changes to the exterior of homes and structures, the construction of new dwellings or additions be made in accordance with certain historic guidelines. The following guidelines seek to provide an introduction to the Historic District Building Permit application process in the city of Millwood. And then farther down it says, district residents would like to be assured that the historic integrity of their neighborhood will be preserved for generations to come. So this isn't some tiny little commission recommending things. It's the people of Millwood who live in the historic district or who care about the historic atmosphere, this is coming from them. That's how this comes across. So if this as an educational pamphlet could be provided to them, like right from the planning section, or the planning moment, that is education. And halfway down the page it says, retain these guidelines. It is hoped that all Millwood residents will retain this guideline package to assist when and if it's necessary to make alterations or repairs. So finally, the guidelines provide useful advice and suggestions for the restoration and preservation of all homes and businesses within Millwood. And I would think that would apply to churches too. So it's getting them up front. All we can do is provide advice and suggestions. And if you look at the Secretary of the Interior materials, they provide recommendations, or strong recommendations, or strongly not recommendations. And that's really all they can do. And because if at that high level of historic preservation, their goal is to allow room for discourse. But we can't have discourse if we're not notified, or we can't go in, or they're not notified of exactly the stakes that are involved. So, because it's democracy, and in democracy things are slow and messy, but it shouldn't be up to one small person to decide, or make that decide. And if you do decide that you want to disregard any suggestions that we might make in to keep a building looking like the rest of the building, or its neighborhood, then that's on you. But we need a chance to convey to them the importance of our historic preservation efforts. Go ahead.
Well, I guess I don't understand what then your expectation of me or Lisa as staff is.
Well, just let them have the resource book. I mean, that's not, you have who they are. And also we recommended, this was from June 21st, 2018, the commission recommends that city planner put an item on the next agenda, city council agenda, that changes to any significant Millwood historic resource be referred to the Historic Preservation Commission for review as specified in the historic register. This is intended to prevent maintenance decisions from being contradictory to the historic preservation guidelines in the City of Millwood Comprehensive Plan. So that's been in effect almost 4 years. So, I mean, how hard is it to just give it to them? It's supposed to be a handout for citizens. This is from an email in 2020 that was kind of the intention, that we would have it available for them, adopted by council as a handout for citizens. So, I mean, what would be involved in, someone comes in, we want to make an addition, or we want to do something. At that point, couldn't
I
you
feel
just
like
send
you
it
are
to
not
them?
hearing or understanding apparently how it happens on my side. So nobody comes in like that. They call me on the phone. The responses that I get are everything from not interested to, in one case, I don't want them knowing anything about this. I have no reason to lie to you about it. Now, at the point where someone says, I say we have a historic preservation commission and your building is in an identified historic district, and they say to me, I don't want them to know anything about it, I guess I'm at a loss then for what it is that you would like me to do. Which is why I think the key, let me pause on that. Secondly, I would remind you that I serve at the pleasure of the mayor. And the mayor has been very clear in his desire that historic preservation be handled, in his words, with a carrot, not a stick. So knowing that, I guess I feel that the way to accomplish what it is that you want, I can print handouts and I can have them on the counter, I can have them at the end of the hall, but I don't know how I would reasonably give that to someone with the attitude that I get back when I mention this. Which is why I feel that education is the key here. It's not me forcing a handout on someone, I don't think. I think it's more getting out into the historic district and talking with people and expressing that it isn't a scary thing to come here. And that, you know, the help that you want to provide or the input that you want to give isn't going to be something that kills their dream. And I'm afraid that that's what the general attitude is. Again, I don't know or have any reason to think that it has anything to do with the individuals on this commission. I think it might just be a general feeling when you hear that there's a governing body like that. But again, he's been very specific that he wants it with a carrot, not a stick. And so I guess I've never had anyone come to the counter, they call me on the phone. So I don't know how to accomplish what it is that you want.
Aren't there other laws that they have to abide by, though? Like, they can't pollute, they have to be within, you know, they have to use water properly, or, I mean, there must be other constraints on a new addition, for example.
Speaking specifically to the presbytery, no. I mean, they have to meet setbacks, and then they're required to construct their building in accordance with the building code that's in place at the time.
Okay.
But those are laws, and these are not.
On the other hand, we have a mandate, as detailed in the city plan, that we are supposed to prevent destruction and things that are out of sync with the historic atmosphere of Millwood. Not just the historic district, but overall. So we're at an impasse. This is where the opportunity for discourse comes in. But if we don't know about it in advance, we can't approach them. We can't go just randomly, you know, through the streets of Millwood going, historic preservation is not scary, please. If we knew who to talk to, we could go in and make it like, you know, we just want to suggest some things. It's better to do this up front than maybe at the end when people in the community are upset at you. Could we just have 10 minutes to talk to you about it?
I
And if
disagree.
they say, get out, ladies, you know, then that's fine. At
Sure.
least we've done our part.
I think that this is maybe part of a larger discussion that we need to have with the mayor and city council, because I do think that there is an impasse. I think, but I do disagree. You do know who you need to talk to. We have a map that outlines every house that is in the historic district. I'm not suggesting you get a megaphone and walk the streets, as it were. There's a lot of different ways that could be accomplished, including direct mailers to those houses, door knocking, I don't know what all. But there is a limit to what I can do, both just as a single person running 3 departments, and also as a person who is trying to convey information in a way that's not going to get me in trouble with my job. And so I think if we need to schedule time with the mayor and city council to have a work session to discuss some of these things, maybe that's what we need to do. Because I am not comfortable revealing people to this, citizens to this commission who've asked not to be revealed. So if that's something that you want to do, I can certainly start the talks with the mayor about finding a way to get the groups together to discuss. And include myself and Lisa in it as the folks who are at the front counter answering the phone calls.
All right, so do we feel that's the next step, is to set up a meeting with council and the mayor and city staff to discuss this?
I think if they could just walk through what our process, some of the things we've done, the videos are going to help a great deal, I think. That will show productivity and the direction that we want to go in. And also to remind them, we're bound too. We're bound by what everybody agreed to in the plan, and the comprehensive plan and our the other documents. So that would be great. I think we should maybe plan on that. You know, we'll start planning now and maybe get a time from them when we could present to them. I'd be for that.
And I'm happy to work with you and the mayor on setting something up, and it doesn't have to be, you know, immediate, but hopefully sometime this year.
Okay.
All right. Any other comments before we leave that topic? Hearing none. Christina, do you have anything in the staff report that you'd like to share?
I have just a couple of things. First of all, I want to thank you all again for coming last night. I think all of you have sat through that training before. It's good to sit through it every once in a while just as a refresher. So thank you for attending last night. I had a question for you just about, I'm generously going to call them packets of information for the meetings. Sometimes they're nothing more than an agenda. I just want to confirm with everyone that electronic is, sending those to your email is sufficient. And then I don't do very well, I will admit. I would like to try and get them out the Friday before your meeting. Does that feel sufficient enough time for you?
It does. It just means I need to get the agenda items to you earlier than I am right now. So sometimes it might take a reminder.
That's okay. For me too. So what I think I'll do is I'll just I'm trying to lean more on my Outlook calendar and its reminders. So I'll just put a monthly reminder in to shoot you an email, and then maybe the start of that week so I can get the packet out on Friday. So, and then just through our discussions here tonight, starting with the tribe. Oh, let me back up. I did send an email, I believe I included you all on, with the list of upcoming events that are going to be going on. You received that? Okay. That would largely be my staff report. So just refer to that. During the tribe media presentation, Annie, I heard you mention rolling out the videos to the public at Millwood Days. So are you thinking a booth, like getting a booth for historic preservation? Right.
Maybe not that.
Let's take that one down there.
Yeah.
No, I mean, we get a TV or whatever, but that's kind of what we're thinking, is that we would have now I will also be having a booth just for the city, and because we're having all the park planning and everything, that might be a lot in one booth. So I'll just plan on getting this commission, it's separate booth so that you can do that. And then I noted here as well, farmer's market booth, question mark. I don't know what made me think that, but I have talked with Shireen. I know that they are going to do that Everything Millwood Day like they did last year that we participated in. We had a booth. I assume that that was an activity that you would want to do again during this year's. And then I also plan to have, for my park planning purposes, have a booth in the farmer's market at least once a month otherwise. My hope being that I can get good feedback on what people would like to see in the park if they're actually standing in the park while they're discussing it. So I don't know if at any time there's any other desire to participate or to have another booth in the farmer's market for something that we've got going on. Let me know, let's talk about it, because it's not hard to get that set up.
And when
So,
does the farmer's market start? It's a May
25th.
25th.
And that's all I have, unless you have any questions for me.
All right, hearing none, then we will move on to commissioner reports. Any commissioners have anything they'd like to share?
I do.
Before you go, shortly before this meeting, I received an email from a name I didn't recognize, but at Archaeology and Historic Preservation. It was a survey, and it said you're receiving the survey because you've been identified as someone who works in historic preservation. I just forwarded it to all of you. So I'm not certain what it was, but I thought y'all would be better to answer it probably than me. And then also today, I received this, I don't know if any of you will be interested in this, but it's an invitation. I got it from the Historic Trust. That's what we joined, right? Yes, sorry. It is some sort of reception and dinner on Saturday, May 21st, over in Seattle. Anyway, there's an RSVP card. Here's a little information on it. It's a cocktail attire, if you are interested. Right, that's my feeling too. So I don't know if any of you are interested, but if you are, come and grab this. I will be out of town that day. So now I'm for sure done. Thank you.
They don't put the menu down, do they?
No menu.
What's for dessert?
Let's see. No, but it does say, one of your options is I would like to sponsor a table of 8.
It's a fundraiser.
Yeah, it does say
It's a
you can
fundraiser.
purchase
And
tickets.
it's for good, Washington
Yes,
Trust,
yeah.
Historic Trust.
It might be interesting to read it.
Christina, could you open up I sent you some photos.
Yes. These?
Yes.
Oh.
These are photos of the little room back here before a renovation, new administration, new renovation. You can see, could you scroll down? You can see there's quite a few, there were 3 walls covered with photos. There was a file cabinet that Vicki Nacarado donated for storage, and all that's gone away. We have one wall and part of another, and I know last time there was a concern mentioned that the room wasn't being used productively. First thing I would like to say is COVID kind of limited access, but we are so far from being able to display this, all this, that I just wanted you to be aware that the intent was there, it's just there's no space. So, I think we've put up the, I came in and with Vicki and put up posters and pictures of houses, but that's all the room we have. So that's why it's maybe not being used. First of all, no one could get into the building to see anything back there, and if you want to have some other suggestions, I know there's plenty of material to share and to display, but we're kind of limited in what we can show. Also, because of that conversation, history enthusiasts created a brochure, or a little booklet. Could you pass that to Christine? Bobby, I'll get one for you too. This is like the ninth draft. It's not the final draft, but it's very close. And it's basically making the point that really everyone who cares is a history enthusiast. Who we are at the bottom, you can see interested in history if you live in Millwood, if you had family who used to live in Millwood, or if you've had experiences in Millwood, love the area, went to school in West Valley, have a childhood home in Millwood, have a business in Millwood, friends who lived in Millwood, enjoy activities in Millwood. If you look on the back, you'll see a list of names of all the people who have contributed to some of the information and some of the memorabilia that are associated with history enthusiasts. And in the inside, on the right side, there's a list, and I'm going to read because we're being recorded. Millwood History Enthusiasts is a welcoming group that for over 3 decades has sought, documented, recorded, and organized materials related to the history of Millwood. So there's quite a list there of what activities have been done, are ongoing, and will continue to be done. Meeting various Millwood residents to document their memories, hold informal weekly meetings at the corner door, more recently on Zoom, attend workshops on preservation of archival materials, contributed to the Spokesman Review's Images of Greater Spokane, established a 1,500-member Facebook group, Millwood Washington History Enthusiasts, developing a Millwood history site, which you all are aware of, collaborated with Spokane Transit for their Walk Bike Bus campaign, conducted walking tours of our historic district, creating an historic district architectural scavenger hunt, updated a self-guided walking tour brochure, produced 16-month calendars featuring historic photos, designing informational signs displayed along the trail, collaborated with DAR for Millwood's Argonne Bridge World War I Memorial, posters, storyboards of photos, maps, historic information, and items, producing videos and slide presentations for various public and private events and locations, encouraging sharing of information and items of current and former residents, sharing historic material by displays and presentations at public and private events such as the Argonne Library, March History Month, and special presentations, which is going to be in September this year, but it's pretty full. Have you ever been?
Yes.
You been to it? Okay.
Yeah.
Christina, I don't know if she's been or not. Argonne Library, Millwood Days, Millwood Day at the Farmers Market, Presbyterian Church, City Hall, Westerners, International Spokane Corral, West Valley, and Bottles. And then the posters at the Argonne Library include origins of the paper mill, Millwood mayors, aerial views of Millwood as it was being developed, historic homes, businesses, residents, and there's a huge long photo of the 1948 paper mill picnic where it's kind of interactive in a manual way where viewers are encouraged to identify themselves or their relatives. Now, Millwood history enthusiasts have donations provided by individuals and families who recognize the value of shared history, but they do not have very many. There's not some, Alibaba's cave under the corner door. They have very few, very limited collection of things that have been given to them. When they're given, they're photographed, they're made available digitally. Privately held collections belong to individual families. Sometimes they loan them, but mostly those belong to the families. They're not part of history enthusiasts. They're not something that the families want to let go of. We make every effort to photograph and document all items and their owners for their historic value. So what is in the history enthusiast collection, which these are displayed at the library, photographs of the paper mill, individuals, businesses, some West Valley High School annuals, Valley Shoe Center shoehorn and a Peterson Meat Market souvenir pencil, a memory book from World War I. Is that your grandfather's? Yeah. Inland Empire First Century book and DVD, and a fire whistle code and phone number cards. So there are, there's a list also of some of the personal collections that are not for the public to get their hands on, but they're also pretty diverse. Prescription bottles, that World War, on the right-hand side, you can see that kind of big brown mug. That's Barbara's grandfather brought that back from where?
Well, I think everyone in that, in his,
That unit?
yeah, were awarded those.
So.
They look like urns.
Yeah, they do. They've
Certain kind of
got kind of
urns.
a, yeah, morbid.
Yes.
So documents and awards, paper mill memorabilia, savings books, coin banks, so things that people have kept. So there's this constant encouragement to the public, the Millwood public, to share what they have. Items are photographed and given back. They're not hoarded anywhere. They're not kept. And newspaper clippings, those are, scanned and uploaded. So it's just a constant encouragement to, if you have anything that might be related to Millwood history, like old photo, I would love to get an old photo of my house, if, someone just sent it to me, and, we'll have to talk about that, but.
Xerox.
It was a Xerox. Well, it's still though. So there are more photos on the, historic photos on the back, and just, to give you a sense that history enthusiasts is not just a few people. It's dozens and dozens of people who value Millwood's history. So I think they just felt it was felt that this would be a good way to let people at City Hall know what history enthusiasts do, how it's different from historic preservation, the commission, historic preservation, but clearly all dedicated to historic preservation. So there will be another version of it, but that's what we have so far.
We evolve.
Yes.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing this. And
You're welcome.
There are extra copies for other staff.
Sure.
And
I think we'll wait until they,
Yeah.
these are the final versions, but
Okay. Thank you, Annie.
you're welcome.
Any other reports from commissioners? All right. Hearing none, then set our next meeting, May 19th, 6 o'clock here in person. All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
I will second it.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Stand adjourned.